Hello, welcome to the channel. I don't know about y'all, but one thing that I have found that kind of surprised me about this whole like teacherpreneur journey situation is that I've had a couple of times where I have needed to give presentations, like longer form, not a short little YouTube video, but instead things like I've made webinars for y'all. I've also made different recordings of presentations for things like TBT Forward and like different like music education summits and things like that. And that is one thing I was not really anticipating when I, got into this years and years and years ago. So I wanted to talk about that today and kind of how I go about creating a presentation. As I said, I have done many now. I've done 2 elementary music summits. I've done 1 like joint presentation with somebody else, and I've done, last year I did the Teacher Seller Summit and I did TPT Forward, which last year had an online component. This year it does not. And so yeah, I've done a lot of presentations, and that's just like presentations for other people. It's not even including like webinars or courses or anything that goes for myself. So if you are finding yourself making a presentation, whether that is like a PD situation for a summit or for, this, that, or the other, or if it's just something that you want to create to sell, because you can sell PD, like that's a thing that you can totally do. You can even do it on TPT. And so those are options that you have. And so I want to kind of talk through that. So for this, you don't really need a ton of stuff, but I will show you what I'm using anyway. First of all, you need to make a presentation. So when I'm talking presentation, I mean like something where there are slides up on the screen and I am also working on talking through it. So I want you to be able to see myself as well as see the slides. So I like to make my presentations in Canva. You can obviously make them in whatever you want to. So you could make them in Google Slides or in PowerPoint or whatever you're most comfortable with. I find Canva to be really easy to make presentations, and it's so easy to add photos and graphics and just all that kind of stuff. So I like it because I think it's easy in that way. So this presentation I'm going to show you that I'm doing today is for the Teacher Seller Summit. This is a Teacher Seller run summit, which is like an online conference, and it is really great, especially because this year TPT is not doing an online portion of their conference. So if you normally go to the TPT conference and you're like, what am I going to do this year? If you do it online and you're like, I don't know what to do this year you should come to the Teacher Seller Summit instead. So it's totally online. It's at the end of June, and you will have access to like the replays for a little bit. So I would definitely highly recommend it. And what I love about this is there's a lot of stuff about TPT. So there's stuff about like listing pages, and there's stuff about, we're talking about creating hype for your resources so they actually sell. And there's all sorts of stuff about like TPT and data and like that kind of stuff. But there's also stuff about content and social media and like all the other stuff that's not necessarily like super TPT, but it is related, because if you want to have a well-rounded business, like you need those things too. So I love that about it. I'm really excited. There's a bunch of sessions I can't wait to see, and today we're gonna film my presentation for you. I'm not gonna show it to you here because you gotta come to the thing, but I will show you a couple of the slides. So my presentation is about creating hype for your resources so that they sell when you first make them. And so I like Canva because I find it's just really easy to like add different things to the pages. And I can just add really easily like photos and graphics and just all sorts of stuff in there, and I really like that personally. They also have like the templates that you can go through. So this started as a template. Ooh, I like this green one though. That one's really cute. It started as a template and it has morphed over the years. Honestly, what I do is I go back to like the last presentation I made and I duplicate it, and then I use that basically as my template, so that way I already have a couple of things that are available. But I find it really easy. You can make it look really nice and cohesive and consistent. There are other special things, so you can add notes, you can add you can figure out like how long it would be if you played it, just like directly played it. You can do like show the timer and have like music and just all sorts of different things. I'm not using any of that stuff, but what I will use is when I go to present, I'm gonna click up here where it says present, and I'm gonna do present and record. So there's different options. Autoplay means it literally just like plays through your slides. presenter view would be if you're presenting it like live in person. And then present and record is what we're doing today because I want to record it. And what I like about this is that it will put your face on the screen as well, which is really, really helpful. So you do need to have a webcam or something like that. So you can obviously use the webcam that is on your computer. I did purchase a new one. The reason is, oh, there we go. That was weird. I was like sideways and then it fixed itself. The reason I have a new one is because like I said, I've been doing some different like presentations and like different things like that, and I've done a couple that have been on Zoom that have been live, and every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I look horrible. Like, just the video quality was just really not there. So I grabbed just not anything super expensive, but this little webcam. It's a Logitech and it works. Honestly, with this, your face is gonna be so small you really don't need it, but since I have it, I will use it after I find a little thing so I can plug it in, because why, Apple, did we need to get rid of USB ports? Can I just say it was unnecessary? So anyway, and then I also do use a microphone. I would say whether or not you're going to use the webcam, it is more important to have good audio. You can do it with like AirPods will work fine, or different headphones and stuff like that. But I like this guy. This is the Blue Snowball. I've had it for a couple of years. It's a good, like, fairly inexpensive microphone. It's not the cheapest, but it's really good quality for the price, and it is not super expensive. Definitely less than $200. It's not much. I use it anytime that I do like screen recording. So like this afternoon, I'm going to be recording a lot of things for one of my new courses, which will have already launched by the time you watch this probably, but I will use it for that. I use it for like when we do just any of that kind of stuff, as well as when I do Zoom calls and things like that. It just makes the audio a lot more clear. And honestly, the audio being bad is much more obnoxious than your video being bad. So I'm gonna set myself up here, and I'm gonna kind of run through my slides first just to make sure I like know what I'm doing and what I want to say. Oh, and I need to find my notebook that I just had. Anyway, so I was looking for my notebook because I had notes on there. You can add notes on Canva, but for the present and record, I guess I could try it and see what happens. I'm not sure what happens to your notes when you're doing present and record. Maybe I'll test it out and we'll check it out. But what I do is just as I'm writing everything down, I'll put down like the slide number, and then I'll write my notes of what I want to make sure that I say on that slide. Most of it, like, I know what I'm gonna say. It's not too hard, but just to make sure I get those extra things. So let me grab these things and get to it. All right, update. You can add notes. I forgot what it looked like here. So here's what it looks like when you are recording. I'm obviously not going to use this part, but your notes show up over here, and then you have all the slides down here. So you can click, or you can use the sideways buttons to go through there, and then your face will be on here as well, and it gives you a nice timer, which I like when you have something that's supposed to be a certain length. It is very handy there. So if I had bothered to check this yesterday, I would have typed all my notes in here, but instead I have it on a notebook. But you know, that's a lot more Becca anyway, right? Right. The other good thing about having the microphone is if your laptop does this, where the fans get really loud, the microphone helps you not hear that as loudly. When you're trying to use the microphone on the computer and it's doing that, it is super loud. I would suggest that you pop your computer up and not put it down here, because you don't want to be like looking down. You want to have your face kind of straight, or have it actually angled so that it's down, it's pointing down on you a little bit. That's helpful. So let me plug these guys in and I'm gonna get to it. Hi, welcome to creating hype for your resources so that they actually sell. So I want you to imagine this with me, and nothing, just crickets. Instead, here's what we're gonna do. Ooh, my computer is being very obnoxious. I'm at that point where I'm like, ooh, you're 4 years old. I really hope you're gonna be okay. But I just finished recording. Hopefully it turned out well. I will go back and watch it. You can download these and you can edit them. So if you did something, or you said something that you need to not say or not do, or maybe not show you all the really messy parts of my office, you can go back and fix that later. But I want to give you a couple of little tips for when you are presenting, whether that's on Zoom, whether that's in person. First of all, make sure you know what you're gonna talk about. So make sure you review your content, especially if it is live, whether that's on Zoom or in person. When I did like the TBT presentation last year, or when I did my presentation at the Georgia Music Educators Association earlier this year, I went over my presentation over and over and over and over. I would open the Canva app on my phone, and I would, like, while I was eating lunch, I'm like scrolling through there and I'm like talking it out either out loud or just in my head. But the more you practice it, the better it's gonna be. I know, music teacher telling you to practice, how crazy. But that's the truth. Like, you need to practice so that it will come out well. 2, don't script it. Don't try to memorize it. Have talking points, but you want it to feel natural. So don't go through and like try to memorize it, because it's gonna feel really weird and like stifled, and we don't like that. Number 3, don't be scared to do a presentation. Don't be scared to do a PD. Like, there are things that you can do that other people can't do, and you need to share those things. And you need to not be scared to share those things. I don't care if you're new. I don't care if you're old. I don't care. I don't care. You need to share things, and you need to not be scared to share them. So don't be scared to share whatever it is. Don't be scared to make a video. Don't be scared to make a presentation. Like, just go for it. I really, truly believe that your knowledge is not meant to stay within you. And if you know how to do something, and you know how to do something well, you have an obligation to share that with other people. And if you're not sharing it with other people, then you're not helping the world be better. Okay? So if you know something about teaching, you need to make a PD about it, because you can help other people. And don't be selfish and keep it to yourself. Okay? It's not about you. None of this is about you. It's about the content that you can provide to other people to help their lives get better. And when you frame it in that way of like, this isn't me being up here being like, oh, look how smart I am. But it's, hey, this is helpful and you need to know it because the content is good, then it's a whole different ballgame. So highly recommend you look at it from that point of view. Don't be selfish. Share your knowledge. All right, let me show you what it looks like when your thing is done processing. I'm gonna have to listen to it and make sure the audio worked out. I recorded like a little bit and then I stopped and listened and it was fine. So you can copy the link, you can download it. You can also, if you go back to it and click share just from the presentation, so like, here's an old one. If I click share, then if you already have one that is available, it'll pop up down here, which is really helpful. So you can just share that link that is already ready to go. So there's how you do that in Canva. I'll link Canva below if you haven't started using it yet. And I will also link the Teacher Seller Summit down below as well, because it is at the end of June and you want to make sure you get in. So I'll see you there.